What is it like to black out? Drugs, alcohol, medical issues, etc. Video on, video off, video on again. I've passed out from heat fatigue before and it's basically this. The video does a fade to black transition and then it cuts to the next scene where you're on the ground. Sometimes you spend $6 at a strip club and can't remember it the next take until you look at your credit card bill. It's like falling asleep while still awake. Happened 3 days ago. This is it perfectly. When you are laying down and you don't realize you fell asleep until you wake up. Except when you wake up from a blackout, usually your first thought is, how did I get here? Then what was the last thing I remember? Then you hear from friends that you were hugging lamp posts and being funny. You have no memories of this. People often confuse a blackout with passing out. Oh no, when you black out you are still physically awake. But your short-term memory is gone. If you are ever with someone and are worried they have blacked out, ask them a simple question you know that they can answer. Then wait a few minutes and ask them again. Wait a few minutes and ask them again. Then do it again and again. If they keep answering the question, they don't remember you have been asking it and they are blacked out. If they say, dude, you've already asked me this many times. They are not. A blackout is when your conscience goes into a witness protection program. Robin Williams. For me, who has, regrettably, blacked out drinking, it doesn't really feel like anything. You wake up having no memory of a certain chunk of the night before. It kinda sucks because the only way you can know for certain what happened is to see a video, some pictures. But those are always embarrassing. This, specifically, is why I don't drink large quantities of alcohol anymore. People who don't black out can sometimes act like they don't believe you. 2. My boyfriend, a bartender, has never blacked out and it took him years to see how troubling it was when I did because I would have zero memory of entire parties but people wouldn't think I was even that drunk. Blackout drunk is the only one I've experienced. One moment you are enjoying yourself. The next you are waking up with little memory of what occurred over the last few hours. You have to talk to others to stitch together what you do remember and try to work out what you did. Shitty and scary. You wake up not knowing how you got there. You try to remember the last thing you can and piece together what happened. You usually acted like a complete fucking asshole between then and waking up. Yep, I used to black out at my dealer's house a lot. I would wake up not knowing what happened. For me, I was never an asshole to people but usually got taken advantage of. Sometimes I would wake up naked or just in my panties not knowing what he or his clients did to me. You're completely unaware of anything until you wake up and you're confused as hell. I found the most disorienting thing was that initially, I had zero sense of how much time had passed. 1 second. 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, no clue, and it takes a little while to fully get your bearings, as it turned out. I only be out for about a minute, but during that time I still had enough time to have a dream. It felt like waking up from a deep sleep but I had no idea about anything. From John Mulaney, for those of you who don't know what that is. Blacking out is when you drink so much that your brain goes to sleep. But your body gets all, eye of the tiger, and soldiers on. I'll tell you about blacking out. It was always weird when I'd go out for the night with like some money. And then black out and wake up with no money. It was even weirder, though, when I went out for the night with some money, black out, and wake up with more money. Because that means that I earned money. That means that I traded goods and/or services. Which is scary, but sometimes I'd almost be proud of it. You know, like, wow, I turned $20 into $100. I am a financial wizard. Like, I would like to give people money advice now. But I don't know how that would go. You know, like they would just be like, John, we're looking to get rich quick. And I'd be like, well, have you tried mixing daiquiris with Ambien? They're like, does that work? I'm like, it didn't not work. Single quote. Not fun. First off, you don't remember anything so you can't enjoy it. Second, the other physical symptoms you experience like nausea and vomiting are unpleasant. Definitely not fun. I blacked out due to low blood pressure caused by chemo-induced anemia. I was standing in the bedroom, talking with my wife. She tells me it was as if someone hit my off switch mid-sentence and down I went. 911 was called, but I had somewhat recovered by the time they arrived. 2 units of whole blood later and I felt much better. After that, my next several chemo sessions included 1 or 2 units of blood as well until my red blood cell count stayed high enough that I no longer needed it. Waking up to the dread of 40+ notifications on your phone. Good Lord. I remember this feeling of dread back in the day. I didn't even want to check my phone or social media. However, I've also woken up to job offers, dates, and great results from my blackouts from drinking in my 20s. I seem to get very confident and ambitious when I black out. Sometimes, it really worked out. But I don't suggest it. I blacked out during in-home hemodialysis a few times and a few times at the in-center. It's scary as fuck. And a few times I thought I was dying. Basically my vision would start to get black from the sides inward and you can't stand up and your brain starts to go blank and your knees buckle under your weight if you're still standing. It freaked my wife out and I woke up completely disoriented each time and completely drained. I also have been under anesthesia a bunch of times. It's way different. It feels like the time you missed never happened. Your brain's inner clock doesn't log it as if you were asleep. Someone told me that I should experience it. Reading comments, I'm not convinced. I've blacked out exactly once. It's not really necessary. It's exactly like being regular drunk except you don't get to hold on to all the fun memories. And it's a little scary because you don't remember how you got from your last memory to waking up. I've also never met anyone who acts differently in a fun way or has a better time when they transition between regular drunk and blackout drunk. They're either exactly the same and no one knows they've blacked out, or they're sloppy and barely awake so you need to babysit them. Being sober or drinking moderately is preferable. Medical, epileptic seizures. My brain shuts down, not just blackouts. It also depends how bad it is. It can be from spastic in and out of consciousness to complete unconscious seizure. All there is a blackness from my eyes not functioning when I am semi-conscious. You wake up remembering random little flashes of the night before and feeling kind of nauseous, then hear stories about ridiculous things you said or did. Then you start to write a text and it auto-completes to, "Hey, sorry about last night," single quote. Blacking out on drugs is very patchy. You'll remember small bits and pieces, and that's exactly how it feels while it's happening. You're either completely aware or you're 100% not. 1 second you're one place. The next second you're in another, wondering how the hell you got there. You can usually tell when someone is currently blacked out on drugs. Blacking out on alcohol is way weirder. You'll be pretty awake while you're blacked out. Physically and mentally you'll be rather present. Sometimes people won't even know you've reached blackout. You'll make very stupid decisions. And remember almost none of it once you've come to. But during, you'll feel as if you won't forget a thing. Blacking out due to medical issues almost always causes a lack of memory of the entire occurrence. 1 second you're awake, next second you're waking up, completely unaware of what's just happened. I took a couple puffs of sativa while on a Molly roll once and starting fading in and out like I've never experienced with alcohol. Though TBH, I don't black out like most people do from drinking, so it was probably a similar feeling. I just kept losing a few minutes here and there and having to catch up with what my friends were talking about. As far as I can tell, when you're blackout drunk, you're still sort of functioning. It's just your brain is so damaged at that point that your memory stops recording. So when you try to recollect the event, there's nothing there because your brain was unable to form a memory. I don't know how true that is, but it's an explanation I've heard before. It's consistent with my experience. I have been blackout drunk before. But a video of me that I cannot recollect shows me functioning as though I'm just very drunk. To be honest, it was kind of disturbing to see. I was standing at the printer at work. At the time I was 5 feet 8 inches and 98 pounds. I was suffering from anorexia nervosa and was truly at death's door. I was certain if I hit the floor and stayed there I'd go to the hospital and they would make me eat. So when I blacked out I climbed my way back up the printer. I don't remember anything until a week later, but I know I didn't go to the hospital then. Terrifying. I used to drink a lot and I was all too familiar with blacking out. I would be at a bar and suddenly be waking up in my bed having no idea how I got there or what I did while blacked out. And then I would do it all again that same night. You remember stuff. Then you wake up. Then you discover additional stuff was done in between. I've successfully done entire questlines in Skyrim while blacked out. I'll wake up, remember I wanted to do something in-game. Open it up. And find that like 7 quests have already been done. With zero recollection of doing them. I've blacked out a couple of times while peeing. Micturition syncope I guess is a thing. Both times I got nauseous very fast and blacked out seconds later. The first time I was camping and it was pitch black. I couldn't figure out what was touching my face until I realized it was the ground. Got a nasty bruise from that one. The second I fell face first onto the toilet. 0/10 can't recommend. Your brain right now is doing 2 things. 1. Processing information from both internal and external stimulus and responding appropriately. You're reading this right now and probably having an inner dialogue with yourself so you understand what you're reading. Totally normal. 2. Recording everything happening so you can recall it later, aka memory. Blacking out is when you're so fucked up your brain can't do both, so if it has to pick one it goes with the former. Because you don't really need the latter to live. While your brain isn't recording you can carry coherent conversations with people and do a lot of things that seem normal, but you'll have very limited memory of it. Or none at all. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.